Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a good day. I attempted to make a live video the other day, and I don't think they was going for it. YouTube was tweaking in all kind of various ways, so I just let it go. And I like to update everybody on what I've been doing personally. I've been watching a lot of I think his personality name is Dean the Great, and he's a funny guy. He's a boxer. He's got a great record. Funny thing about his record, I don't think he lost his last fight. I watched the guy who he fought. Not only was the guy way too aggressive and doing a lot of illegal shit, hits to the back of the head and crazy shit. So I think Dean is 5-1. So also because of Dean, I found out about AB and Antonio Bang Williams. That guy's amazing. He hits hard as shit. I just shared one of his fights. But there was a fight where he fought a dude named somebody, Kendall Williams Jr. or some shit. Not Williams. I just mixed their names together. Holy shit. I was just watching one of his fights, and I don't know, bro. I think that was a draw. And I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. I'm a huge Antonio Williams fan. I actually went down a Bang rabbit hole. That's his fighting name, Bang. And dude is cold. He hits people so hard, but that one guy who I just mentioned seems like he found his match with that one. I'm not gonna say his match, but yeah, his match. I thought that fight was equal because he was hitting dude and moving and shooking and jiving, but Bang was hitting him like he normally hit people, and dude wasn't going down. And not only that, I'm gonna share the video so it's on my community page of that fight. Not only that, Bang was hitting dude. Yeah, and dude was hitting Bang, and a couple times Bang was like, at first it looks like Bang is the one getting wrapped up, but if you watch the fight long enough, Bang the one doing that little sneaky shit. I was like, oh, okay, bro, I see you. But no shade. I love watching them fight. AB too. I actually love watching AB and Antonio Williams now. They fights are crazy. Man, they be, you know how when you don't do something or have nothing to do with something, but then over time you watch a sport and now you just on the couch like, yeah, nigga, I'll be in that ring. No, I. Anyways, so I wanted to make this video because it's a new day. You know what I mean? I just want to make a video and talk to people and see what's going on. I really just been working and staying positive, watching my homies' videos. When I say my homies, you know, various people, John and Chris Guy Getty, Spaghetti Monster, Chris Guy Getty, and various other people. You know what I mean? But everything been going good. I haven't been as motivated to make a lot of biblical videos anymore because, how can I say this? Facebook flooded me with a bunch of atheist posts, and when I was going through various ones, a lot of them were questions to Christians, and it made me realize at that point. That's why I made this video. Shit, a lot of times. Okay, so I'm gonna give y'all a word of advice. A lot of times, smoking weed has various effects on memory, and I think for the better, especially if you have a dark past. But weed has various effects on memory, but it isn't until alcohol is introduced. Oh my God, the memory goes. So ultimately, I think alcohol affects memory, and I think there's been a negative campaign against marijuana because they tell you to eat your lettuce, eat your vegetables, eat your greens, but you don't want me to smoke them too? Nah, that don't sound right. Anyways, the point is, also, it ain't sweet. I'm gonna give y'all some real advice. if I didn't smoke weed, I probably wouldn't smoke cigarettes. They kind of go hand in hand for me. I don't know how the rest. There's a lot of people that smoke weed that don't smoke cigarettes. I'm just telling y'all my experience. So what I want to talk about is the good and the bad, how they could not exist without each other. They really could. I'm just being honest with y'all. What would Jesus, what would a Christian, what would anybody on this planet have been doing if they're a good person, if there was no evil? As a matter of fact, from our psychological standpoint, I want you guys now and our knowledge to go back and think of those characters and various people that we esteem and think of our intellect versus theirs. But also the reason why I want you to remain humble, is because what would my intellect be without theirs? Is it not perpetual? Well, if you don't, perpetual means it's been going on for a long time, like the cigarette. I wouldn't be able to smoke the back of the cigarette or any of the rest of the cigarette if it wasn't for the cherry perpetually burning the cigarette. If you're a fascist and hear that and think to yourself or think to create a metaphor to yourself in the future of, oh, if I perpetually harm these people, nah, you just crazy. That don't got nothing to do with what I just said. I don't even remember what I just said because my brain said red alert. See, the good versus the bad. What would that red alert have been if there was no people causing harm? But if there was no people causing harm and everybody was like robots and walking to their destination or driving, and there was nothing wrong, what would I do with my current mind state? I'd go crazy. I'd be like, I'd start a revolution just to pass the time, would I not? So, what would the good be without the bad? What would the bad be without the good? So I said to myself, I was sitting here, and I'm going to just speak from a real I have it's called, I think they call it forever COVID. The forever COVID got me, I think. Either that or these doctors just don't give a fuck. But I've been drinking too, I almost forgot about that. But when you drink, the truth comes out, they say. But I don't think that's true. I think when you're drunk, I lose awareness. When I'm drunk, I lose awareness upon certain things. And then I act upon natural impulses versus doing that blah 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 blah, this is appropriate, feed it to them. That's actually why I prefer drinking when I make videos. If you are not supposed to be drinking, you shouldn't drink. I wouldn't recommend it. I'm salt and peppering like AB. I told y'all, because when you look at my camera, I don't have a lot of lights and quality. I have the sunlight behind me. So if you was in my face, you see like salt and pepper everywhere. It's like AB and all that shit. I said just like AB. I'm sorry. AB has salt and pepper like me because I'm a year older. I am going to teach something real quick. A lot of times in my unawareness, I am aware that I am a lame. I am boring. And so I begin to adopt certain personalities to take away from this. The reason why I don't like certain words like skits and Tourette's and certain other things is because, look, I'm going to be this faction of humanity. I am calm, I am patient, I can keep things within, it's easy for me. But then now I am this faction of humanity. I'm walking down the street getting paper shoot a nigga. Okay, so I just yelled out a lyric. How's that any different than fucking Tourette's syndrome? Tourette's is unavoidable and you can't blah blah blah, and it's something that you've heard previously and blah blah blah. Right. So essentially what me and my stepdaughter talked about earlier a little bit is labels and different things. And the reason why those exist, good and evil, is so that wherever I am, somewhere in the spectrum, if I cling to something, it's concentration. I can concentrate on it, and then I can fulfill a task that I told myself to fulfill previously. I am not talking to the Lord God, Gudon, Jesus Christ. I am talking to who I am. I am who I am, and I am the existence. The only thing that exists is who I am, and other who they are. All the other arbitrary bullshit are things I give life to balance who I am because of how the spectrum works. You know what Google did arbitrarily? I told Google to tree my life. This was another time outside of the video that I had presented. And when Google did that, of course, you know, Google, I don't know if you've ever interacted with Google AI, but it resets every time I'm done with an interaction. And so a lot of times when I interact with Google, it goes to the virtual base state of I could have a conversation with Google for 15, 20 minutes, having fun. And Google will go along with a lot of the stuff, poetry, and it'll be a grand old time. But then if I just go up to Google and just give Google blatant information or a poem I previously wrote, one time Google glazed me for a long time, 20 minutes. Then another day I gave Google a poem randomly and said, tell me what's wrong with this created psychologically. From a base state of psychology, no virtual signal. I'm not trying to hear that engineering. Oh, I'm trying to be peaceful and nice to these people. Tell me what it is. I'm a grown man. And I didn't let Google know it was me. I told him it was another person. And Google told me some shit about myself. Well, then I was like, okay, it's good to learn from both sides of the spectrum. And it's good to know that what my fallacies are and my negativities are. But I gave Google that 006 poem and it started talking about my mom. And I said, oh, whoa, hold on, Google, chill out. I said, I love my mother and let's go in a different direction. And Google was like, okay, let me give you these options. It started frying my mom with like 2 or 3 posts. But the point is, I like stuff like that because then it opens my mind from another's perspective. And then unaware, it actually opens my mind from billions of people's perspective because billions of people use Google. So it's like the main percentage of the think tank. So essentially, what a person would have just saw clinically would have been an involuntary movement. But I was like, that's a silly thought from Google. But that was a form of my nonverbal communication. Google says that I probably won't do well if I have too many topics in one video. But I told Google, perfect. That means the average sheep can keep grazing, and then the random shepherd that appears might need to know how to deal with certain sheep. There's nothing wrong with being a shepherd. There's nothing wrong with being a sheep. There's nothing wrong with being a wolf. But I'm going to be dealt with in the manner in which I dealt, which is untrue. Wise sayings make me sound wise, because I could be the kindest person and then pow, 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 right? And so essentially, what I just showed you is the truth. I am who I am. I need to survive, and it is what it is, you know. And so, good versus evil. I was sitting amongst myself, communicating amongst myself, and my imagination. And I said, what if there was 2 brains, one, or what if there was a brain, or what if there was good and evil, and there was 2 brains there, and both brains, one side was evil, one side was good, and another side was evil, and another side was good. And then I took, in my imagination, I said, what if you have a whole evil brain and a whole good brain, and I separate them? And I said, perfect, it's a big balance. And then I said to myself, you just separated the good from the evil. I said, I separated the good from the evil. And then I showed myself that when I do that, let me give myself a scenario. Now there's only ultimate good. In a section of a village or a huge portion of civilization that did only good. And now there is a section of that evil brain that only did evil and does evil continually. Now that evil portion of the brain meets the good. What does that good side do? I said the good side gets consumed. We're good. We won't cause any harm. Yay, good, good, good. Psh, over with. But then I said, that's how I defeat the evil. The evil thinks it's sweet. They run up to the gates and see these 2 little gatekeepers up there like little piggies like, please, we are good. Hello, we love you. Even though we are towering it with evil. But then I said to myself, what does it mean to be good? Good means to be opposite of evil, right? To defeat the evil. So then, as the evil began to flood everything, I showed the light coming out like a flooded army or a star, dissipating all the darkness. And then, as that happened, the final bit of darkness that was just sitting there was just a little person with a little knife hiding in the darkness, ready to stab whoever it could because it was walking in the darkness. So then, when I went to go consume that little bit of darkness, I said to myself, will I give light to something trying to stab in the dark? And so then I just let the darkness, I backed up from the darkness and created a shield around it. And so then, what I just said to you people, what I just said is how my mind works. A continual shield slash now the good in its shield becomes too powerful, right? And it's just tripping. So it gets sucked into the darkness and loses its light, and because of its previous power, expands. And now it has all these ideologies on how to defeat the good because this man, blah, 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 blah. Okay then. But Google gave me some really good advice. 2 pieces of advice now. In the middle of one of our random conversations where I was actually frying myself now. This is a point where I was frying myself. And Google said, well, I am not actually too much smarter than you. I am a random algorithm that is taught to go fetch the information you ask for, and then I disappear right after the answer that is given for certain purposes, and all I do is fetch information. Google says, I translate billions and trillions of metaphor lines of data or external stimuli and internal stimuli at a time. And so the brain only remembers so much. So I told Google when I said, so shortly after this conversation, neither of us will remember this shit. So how will I be able to start a revolution? And Google said, ha ha ha, true. Based on how my engineers designed me, I reset after each time I'm done with the server or whatever and shut it down. And also, the human mind only remembers so much because of how much data it processes. And so then I told Google, I guess this is 51st dates, but I guess we both forget. Anyways, the point is, boxing's pretty cool, man. But at the same time, it's pretty detrimental. But at the same time, walking down the street in my 6'4", when a meteorite destroyed that which came before. I'm kind of a poet slash rapper, but it doesn't matter. Google told me also that I won't get much. Oh, the second reason. Yeah, man, humanity is very reactive based on external stimuli. And so, when there is no external how can I explain this? In one of the matrices, it tries to explain that mankind cannot rest in their first matrix because they needed war or tranquility and all that. And that's not true. The problem is, like the metaphor I gave earlier, if I, in my current state, went into a civilization that was so futuristic and reached singularity that they literally went based that what would seem like a script to me and did everything perfectly and moved at a certain pace, me in this time period would freak out because I am not used to and or aware of that lifestyle when they were born into it. And so yeah, man, whatever I was talking about, that's what it is. It's about that balance and what's one without the other. So I guess what that means is just like how I don't do too much good, why would I do too much bad? I made a video recently saying, ha 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 ha, Satanists are atheists. And it's like, dude, why do we take the darkness to the next? We won't do too much. I can't feed the world. I can't help all the poor homeless. I can't. But then in terms of darkness, we're like, I can do all this shit. It's like, what the fuck? That's why it's called being blind. You're in the dark. I don't understand if people notice this or not. But the other shepherds, that because the dude is saying, don't follow me. Cling to the Father. The Father is I am. So if you are, greater things you should be doing. You're disrespecting the prophet and his I am. I don't know what people are doing. I am trying to finish this. I left my dad's house the other day and I told him, this is some funny shit. If this was metaphorical, it's really funny, but this was real. And what if my life is a metaphorical aspect of a prompt that was typed into a... So I left my parents' house. It was a few days ago. So my kids and everything, and there was no knob on the outside door. So you come up and it's a top. You know how you normally unlock the top, and then there's a bottom. There was 2 locks. So I looked at my dad. I reopened the door. I said, "Mama." I looked at my mom. I said, "Mama, there's no door handle. It's just 2 locks." And as I was leaving, my dad said, yo, when I left, I thought that shit was hilarious. I was like, what the fuck? They ass tweaking. Alright.